Good evening and welcome to the Happy Parent Project. This is the first in a series of online events where I'm sharing tips and tricks with you about how to transition your family to healthy eating. I'm Nicole Beardsley from the Happy Parent Project and I'm really excited to have you here tonight. So tonight we're talking about 10 ways to get your kids to eat healthy food. If you signed up to my website recently, then you would have received my newest book, which is the same title, 10 Ways to Get Your Kids to Eat Healthy Food. The reason I put this book together was because I had so many mums coming to me saying, I don't know how to get my kids to eat the food that I want them to eat. I can make it, I just can't get them to eat it. So that was really the beginning of the book and why I put it together. And tonight I just want to talk you through the steps and talk about the ways that I got my kids to transition to healthy eating and also the way I get my clients to get their kids to transition to healthy eating. So we're going to start off by looking at the first step in the book, which is about adding in the good stuff. So really when you're transitioning your kids over, you want to give them the good stuff, but don't take away the bad stuff just yet. So when we first transition our kids to healthy eating, we kind of become the fun police, which is no fun for anyone. So all of the stuff that they really look forward to is gone, and instead it's replaced with things that they don't actually want to eat. So what I talk about with my clients is kind of crowding out. It's about adding in so much good stuff that they're not craving the unhealthy stuff. So here's a really good way to apply it. For example, if you're making Anzac biscuits and you normally make them with golden syrup, brown sugar and white flour, then you'd start with swapping the golden syrup for honey. And after a few times of doing this, you would replace the brown sugar with, say, coconut sugar and the white flour with something like spelt or buckwheat flour. So they might notice that it tastes a little bit different, but they're still happy to eat it because it kind of tastes the way they think it should taste. And over time, as their taste buds adjust, they'll get used to eating that healthy food, and you'll be able to slowly reduce what's the bad stuff that's in it. So you've then got a really healthy biscuit or snack that they're eating and they haven't even realized. That's the first tip. My second tip is to take it slowly. You want to really think of this as a marathon rather than a sprint. You've got heaps of time to make this transition. And I know that you're really excited to get your kids moving and you want to take as much of the bad stuff out as you can once you become aware of what is in different foods. But it's really important that you make the changes slowly for your family because otherwise you're going to overwhelm them and they're going to rebel. So you pick one change and you work at it until they get used to it before moving on to the next change. So for example, you might choose to introduce a new grain such as millet or quinoa as an alternative to white rice. And you keep putting it onto their plate for, it might take a few weeks before they get used to it. But once they do start getting used to it, that's when you can add in the next change. If you suddenly go from giving them a plate of chips and fish and some peas, and then you change it to it all being quinoa and millet and kefir and kimchi and all sorts of healthy stuff, they're going to feel so overwhelmed that they're probably not going to eat anything. So it's really about taking it slowly and just allowing them to get used to those changes. My third tip is about being positive. So you already, here's something that you already know. Your kids don't actually want to change their eating habits, and if you're married, your husband probably doesn't want to either. So the best approach for you to take is focusing on the positives rather than the negatives. So rather than telling them off for not trying something new, you want to, really encourage what they have done well. So if they're saying to you, I'm not drinking a smoothie with spinach in it, you just go, you know what, that's okay, honey. You're such a good boy for just trying the yummy oat milk. And if you keep focusing on the positives and don't make them eat too much of things that they don't want to, they'll eventually come around. And in the book, I talk about the fact that it took me a whole year to get my youngest son to drink a smoothie that's green, but eventually he did because it was his choice. I just kept asking him every day if he wanted some of Mummy's green smoothie, and every day for a year he said no, but one day he actually said yes, and that's when you get really excited. And just 15 minutes ago, my kids are out in the kitchen at the moment, and my youngest son, again, he's our trouble child when it comes to food. He won't drink kombucha, and I really want to get the kombucha into him because I know how good it is for him. And, you know, I've been asking him for at least 6 months if he wants to try it, and he always says no. And tonight I asked him just 15 minutes ago, and he agreed to try it. And he really liked it, so that was a really big win for us. So I do always say keep persevering. It can take a long time, but that's okay. So my next point for getting your kids to eat healthy food is being a great role model. So as I just said, your kids have probably never thought about a different way of eating. They're quite happy where they are. And the best approach is to just start doing it yourself. Don't put the pressure on anyone else to do it with you. Just do it yourself. Let them watch and observe what you're doing. They're going to ask questions and you're going to answer them. And every now and then they'll have a taste, and eventually they'll give it a go themselves and realize it's not that bad, as my son just did 15 minutes ago. And, you know, role modeling is the easiest way because they can see the positive changes that are occurring in you. They can see that you're not getting sick. Your husband can see, oh, your skin's looking really nice. And, oh, you're not getting those stomach cramps you used to talk about all the time. And for them, they're smart enough that they can start putting 2 and 2 together, that something good is happening as a result of you making these changes. And eventually they'll want to get on board with that as well, but maybe in their own time. My 5th point is education. So kids and husbands need to know why you're asking them to change. You need to be able to explain why you're introducing a new food and how it's going to help them. So make sure you do your research. And, you know, that's why you're attending these online events as well, and maybe following my blog. You may even be a member of my 12 Steps program because you want to learn more so you can explain it to others as well. And that's a fantastic thing to do. You'll be amazed at how much kids can actually comprehend when it comes to food and how it affects their body. Don't underestimate their intelligence by any means. I recently went to a kinder and did a kinder session about gut flora and how the gut flora is helping the kids' stomach and helping them to be healthy. And it was amazing how the kids could actually really grasp what I was saying to them. So, you know, you want to become the educator, and that's vital for you to make this a lifelong change for your children and for your family. So I've got a couple of examples here of real life examples between myself and my children. The first one is my daughter saying to me, "Mum, can we buy this chocolate cake mix in the supermarket?" And me saying to her, "Well, how many ingredients can you read on the back, honey?" And she goes, "There's 15. And I said to her, "Is that too many ingredients for it to be healthy?" And she said, "Yeah, it should only be 3, so we can't buy this one, can we?" And I said to her, "No, but we can make a chocolate cake at home if you want to." And another example was, you know, just as I said to my son tonight about the kombucha, asking him if he wanted it. And the way I educated him about why it was good for him was talking to him about the fact that it's like Ninja Turtle juice, that the good ninjas are in there and they're going into your tummy and they're killing all the bad bugs in your tummy. And kids at that age can really grasp what you're trying to tell them if you relate it to something that they're interested in, such as the Ninja Turtles for 4-year-olds at the moment. So get down on their level, find out what it is that's important to them and relate what you're trying to do to what's important to them. Education is key to getting your kids to eat healthy food. My next point is always having healthy alternatives available. So it's really important that if you don't want your children to eat the chocolate biscuits, the chips and the cake as snacks, that you actually have something else available for them to eat. And one of the hardest things to resist as a mother is the urge to stop the whinging by giving them a treat. So in my 12 Steps to a Healthy Family program, we actually dedicate 4 whole steps of the program to learning how to meal plan and get organised early in the week, because it's so important. You know, if you don't have alternatives available, then at short notice, it's really hard to not give in to that temptation to give an unhealthy snack. So make sure that you prepare in advance, have lots of healthy snacks available, use your meal planners, and really get organised. My next point is expecting relapses. And I had a mum ask me the other day in one of my natural living workshops about the fact that they do relapse, and she finds it really disheartening. And what I say to my clients is don't expect to succeed straight away. And relapses are really, really important, because when you have a relapse, you go back to that place where you go, oh, actually, I don't like it that much here where I am. It's, you know, it's not that fun here being bloated and feeling unhealthy and feeling unwell. And your kids will be like that too. They'll start to notice the symptoms that they have when they do relapse. You can't control relapses. They're a normal part of life and they happen to everybody, so expect them. And just tell yourself that you're doing a wonderful, wonderful job, because you really are. You're doing a great job. And one day your kids are going to surprise you. They're going to make a healthy choice without you even pushing them to do it. And you're going to be really proud when they do that. They might be offered a can of Coke at a party or a sausage at a footy game. And rather than taking it, they'll say, no, I'm just going to have water. And you might not believe me now, but it will happen, and you'll be really happy, and you'll realise that what you are doing as a parent is actually working and paying off. The next point is letting the kids choose. So kids like to have a say about what they can eat, and particularly for dinner. So when you're sorting out your meals for the week, and I hope that you are meal planning, and if you're not, then please start. And if you don't know how, then look at my 12 Steps to a Healthy Family program, because that's where you'll learn that really important skill. But if you are meal planning, then give your kids and your husband the recipe books to flick through and let them choose a meal for the week, because getting them involved means they have control and they feel like they own something, and that's a really important part of getting your kids to transition to healthy food. And when they make it, or when they know that it was their choice, they're more committed to eating it, because that's just the way kids are. So that's my next point, and I really like that point. So there's heaps of recipes online that you can choose from, and you can flip through the recipes on my website, or in 12 Steps to a Healthy Family, we've got over 100 whole food recipes in there to choose from as well. So there's a heap in there that are really perfect for anyone in your family. Step number 9 is setting some boundaries. So you do need to remember that you're in charge here, and you're making the rules when it comes to when treats will and will not be handed out. So kids really like boundaries, and they like to know how far they can push them, and they also like to know where the limit is. And it's your job to set those boundaries. So a really good idea here is to work out when treats will be allowed. So is it Friday night fish and chips? Is it ice cream at Saturday footy? A lolly when they go to Nan and Pop's house? You know, then it's okay, because it is important that kids still have these treats. We're all human, and my kids still have treats. We live by the 80-20 rule in our house, that if 80% of the time we're eating healthy, then 20% of the time, then, you know, we can have treats and stuff when this birthday party's on or when we go out. So in our house, we've got a few rules, a few of my boundaries. So they're allowed lollies and packets of little tiny teddies and shapes when they go to Nan and Pop's house. They're allowed treats at birthday parties, but when they get a lolly bag, that's given to mum at the end, and they get to choose a few lollies out of it, but not the whole lot. So money is allowed to be taken for the canteen at school as well, a couple of times a month, but it's not for sugary treats and sweets. It's for maybe some popcorn, a bag of chips, but sugar's not really allowed at school because school is a place for learning. And when my kids step outside of these boundaries, there are consequences, and generally they're pretty good. They know that they can have these treats and that they can just be like other kids, but they know that there's limits because we're a healthy family. My last point is to enforce your boundaries. This is the most important tip for getting your kids to eat healthy food. You have to enforce your boundaries. Kids are going to push and push and push to get what they want. And if they know that eventually you'll give up, then they will keep pushing. If you strictly adhere to your boundaries, though, they'll give up. They will give up the pushing. They'll learn the rules and then they'll start enforcing them. So if you've decided that the kids aren't having dessert unless they eat all of their veggies, then you have to enforce it. You really, really have to. And if you give up just once, the whinging and crying and tantrums are going to start all over again. And one of the reasons that parents give in is because they lack the energy to deal with the tantrums. And if this is the problem, then it's important that you get your own health and wellness on track so that you do have the energy to deal with those problems and those tantrums. Now, those are my 10 ways to get your kids to eat healthy food, and I hope that they've been helpful for you. If you want a copy of the book, 10 Ways to Get Your Kids to Eat Healthy Food, it includes 20 healthy snack recipes, including muesli slice, crumbles, pikelets, some things for the school lunchbox. I've got some raw desserts in there, kale chips, all sorts of things to get you started. If you want a copy of that, then head to my website, www.thehappyparentproject.com. Enter your details to get the free book sent to you, and you can get started right away. Thank you so much for listening tonight, and if you've got any questions at all, you can feel free to email me, Nicole@thehappyparentproject.com, and if you're interested in joining 12 Steps to a Healthy Family, then you can find more information on my website, or you can give me an email. Thanks for listening.